USS North Dakota, BB-29, was a dreadnought battleship of the Delaware-class. She only had one sister, USS Delaware, and... Okay, this is another class where the dates involving their births gets a little mixed up. Delaware is the lead ship in the class, and she was laid down first, but she was launched second. But she was commissioned less than a week before North Dakota, so... I think we all settled on the launch date being the ship's actual birthday. One person argued for commission because when they're launched, they don't have any of their equipment. But, I mean, is a baby ready to function when they're born? You know, is kind of my argument. Like, launch really does seem like the most reasonable to me. So, North Dakota would technically be the big sister in this situation, but whatever. Now, these are very early dreadnought battleships, and were ordered in response to the British battleship, well, HMS Dreadnought, one of the most influential designs ever for a ship. They weren't the first American dreadnoughts, though. The preceding South Carolina-class were, but those had been designed before the actual specifics of HMS Dreadnought were known to other countries. And the US Navy decided that they should construct another pair of battleships that were built to counter the then-perceived superiority of HMS Dreadnought over the South Carolinas. Rear Admiral Washington L. Capps actually prepared a design for a ship with an additional main battery gun turret that would match Dreadnought's 10 guns. But different in the fact that the Delawares could fire all 10 of their guns on the broadside. Dreadnought couldn't do that. And at the time of her construction, North Dakota was the largest and most powerful battleship then being built in the world. She was 518 feet 9 inches long, with a beam of 85 feet 3 inches and a draft of 27 feet 3 inches. She would displace 20,380 long tons as designed, and up to 22,400 long tons at full load. She was powered by 2-shaft Curtis steam turbines, which got their steam from 14 coal-fired Babcock and Wilcox boilers, pushing her to a top speed of 21 knots. She had a cruising range of 6,500 nautical miles at a speed of 12 knots, and had a crew of 933 officers and enlisted men. Also, her power plant, we should probably talk about that, as that was the key difference between her and her sister. USS Delaware kept triple expansion engines, but North Dakota was given turbines, which was still a developing technology at the time, and the Navy was worried about giving them both turbines because they had a habit of being a lot less fuel efficient than the triple expansion boilers were. North Dakota's armament consisted of a main battery of 10 12-inch Mark V guns in 5 twin Mark VII gun turrets on her centerline, 2 of which were placed in a super-firing pair forward. The other 3 were placed after the superstructure. Her secondary battery consisted of 21 5-inch guns, mounted on Mark IX and Mark XII pedestal mounts in casemates along the side of her hull, and she had a pair of 21-inch torpedo tubes, submerged on each broadside. Her main armor belt was 11 inches thick, while the armored deck was 2 inches thick. The gun turrets had 12-inch thick faces, and the conning tower had 11.5-inch thick sides. North Dakota was laid down at the Fore River Shipyard in Quincy, Massachusetts on December 16, 1907. She'd be launched November 10, 1908, and commissioned on April 11, 1910. Now, it's probably worth mentioning that North Dakota's story is going to be fairly short. Her actual role consisted mostly of peacetime duties, but almost immediately, she did suffer a pretty major crisis. On September 8, 1910, she fell victim to an oil tank explosion and a fire while she was at sea. 6 of her crew, Chief Water Tenders August Holtz and Patrick Reed, Chief Machinist Mates Thomas Stanton and Carl Westa, Machinist Mate First Class Charles C. Roberts, and Water Tender Harry Lipscomb all received the Medal of Honor for extraordinary heroism in the line of his profession during this fire. After that early bit of ridiculous excitement, she was assigned to the Atlantic Fleet, where she participated in general training exercises. She crossed the ocean for the first time on November 2, 1910, on a goodwill visit to both Britain and France. And over the next couple of years, she conducted a lot of training exercises, particularly for cadets from the Naval Academy. On January 1st, 1913, she actually joined the Honor Escort for the British ship, armored cruiser HMS Natal, which was carrying the remains of Whitelaw Reid, who was the United States ambassador to Great Britain. When World War I broke out in August of 1914, the United States tried their best to stay out of it. We were attempting to be neutral. But it doesn't mean North Dakota wasn't busy. During the Mexican Revolution, the United States would occupy Veracruz for a time, and North Dakota steamed off the shore from April of 1914 until October to protect Americans in the region, after which she returned to Norfolk, Virginia, arriving there October 16th. But then she had to participate in further training, as it was increasingly likely that America might become a lot more involved in World War I. In fact, when the United States officially declared war on Germany on April 6, 1917, North Dakota was in the middle of a gunnery training exercise in the Chesapeake Bay. And while her sister Delaware was sent away for the conflict, North Dakota was actually held back. She remained in American waters for the duration of the war and didn't see any action. She was based out of Fore River, Virginia, as well as New York City, and was tasked again with training both gunners and engine room personnel for the expanding wartime fleet. North Dakota probably would have been sent overseas, but Admiral U. Rodman didn't actually trust North Dakota's turbines. In 1917, they'd actually be replaced with new geared turbines, and she was also given new fire control equipment. But otherwise, she still continued training. Training. She was a teacher of a battleship. She would never ever see combat, but many of those that trained on her did, and were much better prepared for it than they otherwise would be. On November 13th, 1919, North Dakota left Norfolk, personally carrying the remains of the Italian ambassador to the United States, Vincenzo Macchi di Salier. He had passed away on October 20th while in Washington, D.C. During her trip across the Atlantic, she stopped over in Athens, Constantinople, Valencia, as well as Gibraltar, and afterwards returned to the United States, participating in fleet maneuvers in the Caribbean in the spring of 1920. In July of 1921, she was actually present during the joint Army-Navy bombing tests, where the ex-German battleship SMS Ostfriesland and the cruiser SMS Frankfurt were actually sunk in a demonstration of air power. But after that, North Dakota resumed her normal peacetime routine of training, which included 2 midshipman cruises in the summers of 1922 and 1923, the second of which went into European waters, where she visited Spain, Scotland, and Scandinavia. But unfortunately for North Dakota, in the years immediately following the end of the war, the United States, Britain, and Japan had all launched huge naval construction programs. But they all kind of looked at each other and decided, hey, maybe we should have some agreements about this, some rules, just so we don't get a little out of hand in the future. Plot twist, this wouldn't work in the long run, but at the time it seemed like a good idea. They convened for the Washington Naval Conference to discuss arms limitations on each other, and that would produce the Washington Naval Treaty, which was signed in February of 1922. Under the terms of Article 2 of the treaty, both North Dakota and Delaware were to be scrapped as soon as the U.S. Navy's brand new battleships, Colorado and West Virginia, which were at the time still under construction, were ready to join the fleet. As a result, North Dakota was decommissioned on November 22, 1923 in Norfolk, in accordance with the treaty. But she was a little luckier than her sister. Delaware was sold off on February 5th of 1924 and broken up for scrap. But North Dakota's career as a teacher seemed to resonate, even in her somewhat awkward situation. Instead of being scrapped immediately, she was disarmed and reclassified as an unclassified ship on May 29, 1924, which, to me, just comes off as a little bit of a funny loophole for the Navy to get to keep the ship, but not actually keep the ship. She's unclassified. We said we would get rid of her battleship. She's not a battleship anymore. Shh! It's okay. Don't ask too many questions. and from then on she would continue in her role as a teacher. She was converted into a radio-controlled gunnery target ship. Her turbines would later be removed for use aboard Battleship Nevada when she was modernized in the 1930s. And North Dakota continued to serve as a teacher for Navy personnel until 1930 when she was replaced in that role as well, with the slightly less old USS Utah. It was then that North Dakota was stricken from the Naval Vessel Register on January 7th, 1931, and sold to the Union Shipbuilding Company of Baltimore on March 16th of that year, and broken up. While she certainly never got to feel what it was like to be in a battle, necessarily, North Dakota still served an incredibly important job when it comes to the United States Navy. The sailors and cadets that walked on her decks would leave her with more knowledge than they had arrived with more fighting ability than they had arrived with more experience to know how to survive in a battle situation. That's what North Dakota did. She taught her crew how to serve, and for that, she deserves to be remembered. And with that, a special thank you to all my underwater train finders, Some Dude 267, Orange Glass, Benjamin Owens, Panzer Kitsune 131-232, Anzac A1, Arthur Roy, Tommy Rossini, Brian, Jack Carson's Railroad Videos, Lord Off 444, Mark Holding, Murder Jones Doll, A Person 723, Royal Hudson 2860, Iser for 1405, Charles Kwiatkowski, Matt Weaver, Tom Redline, S Productions 8104, Hannah Bird, Hendrick Motorsports Fan 5, Wheeljack 8401, Rescues Greyhounds, The Baxter, Caleb Crosswhite, Ohio Trucker 1, Andrew Bowen, Josh Johnson, Hayden DeGrow, Caleb Rainwaters, Prez Drenton, Master of None, Arizona Hot Rail, Liam Wright, Mr. Sleepy, Travis Zelinsky, Jared Brussel, and Dr. Racer 78. Till next time, this is Darkness, and I bid you all a fond farewell.